Oasis Audio presents The Mystery of the Mummy's Curse by Gertrude Chandler Warner. Read for you by Aimee Lilly.
Chapter 1. A Secret at the Museum.
Wow, look over there. Is that a T-Rex?
6-year-old Benny Alden was pointing toward a giant skull with long, pointed teeth. Yes, Benny, I think it is, said his 12-year-old sister Jessie.
Cool,
said their sister Violet, who was 10. She came over for a closer look.
And look at this Triceratops skull,
said Henry, their 14-year-old brother. He pointed to another skull with horns coming out of the top. The children were visiting the dinosaur room at the Greenfield Museum.
I always loved this room when I was a kid,
said their grandfather, James Alden. The children had lived with their grandfather ever since their parents died. At first, afraid that he would be mean to them, the children had run away. They had lived in an old boxcar they'd found in the woods. But once they met their grandfather, they found that he was a kind man, and they came to live in his large house. They had been happy there ever since. Grandfather had even moved the boxcar to their backyard so the children could play in it, and today they were visiting the local museum. When the Aldens had seen all the dinosaur bones, Grandfather asked what they would like to do next.
Have lunch,
cried Benny. We should have guessed, said Jessie. It's been at least an hour since breakfast. Everyone laughed. They knew Benny was always hungry.
Maybe soon, Benny, Grandfather said. But first, there's someone I'd like you to meet.
He led them down the hall to a door that read Museum Curator.
Come in,
called a voice inside after they knocked. Grandfather pushed open the door to reveal a small office where a dark-haired man was sitting behind a desk. The man was tall and thin, with a friendly smile on his face. He stood up when he saw the Aldens and came over to say hello.
James Alden, the man said, reaching out to shake Grandfather's hand. My father told me you still lived in Greenfield. It's good to see you, Pete, Mr. Alden said. Children, this is Peter Miller. I've known him since he was born. His father was an old friend of mine. When he told me Pete had come to the museum to work as the curator, I had to stop by and say hello.
And these must be your grandchildren, said Mr. Miller.
Don't tell me. The tall one is Henry. Jessie's over here. Violet has the purple shirt on, and this must be Benny.
Benny grinned.
You got it.
Would you like to join us for some lunch, Mr. Miller? Henry asked.
That sounds great, Pete said. But please, don't call me Mr. Miller. I'm Pete. When did you become the curator here?
Grandfather asked, as they walked down the hallway to the museum cafe.
And what is a what's that word again?
Benny asked.
A curator, Pete said slowly. It's the person at the museum who puts together the exhibits.
Which exhibits did you put together? Asked Jessie.
I'm working on my first one, Pete said. It's very exciting.
What's it about?
Violet asked. Before Pete could answer, Benny called out,
Hey, look, a mummy!
Everyone turned to see where Benny was pointing. On the wall was a poster of an Egyptian mummy.
That answers Violet's question, Pete said. That poster is for our new exhibit about ancient Egypt. It's called Enter the Mummy's Tomb.
Will there really be a mummy?
Benny wanted to know.
You bet, Pete said as they reached the cafe. Let's get some lunch and I'll tell you all about it.
A few minutes later, Pete and the Aldens sat down to eat. The children had chosen sandwiches and fruit, and the two men were having soup. But for once, Benny wasn't interested in food.
Please tell us about the mummy,
he begged Pete. Pete began speaking in a low voice. The director of the museum wants to keep the details of the exhibit a secret, he explained, but I don't think anyone will hear me.
Why are you keeping it a secret?
Jessie asked quietly. Well, it's not really a secret, Pete said. We've announced the exhibit in the newspapers and put up posters around town. But this is the biggest exhibit ever to come to the Greenfield Museum. We want to make sure we've got it all set up perfectly before we let out any details.
You must know a lot about Egypt if you made an exhibit about it,
Benny said. Actually, the exhibit was put together by the Egyptian Museum, Pete said. We're renting it from them. Museums often share exhibits. We've also hired an expert on Egypt to help set it up. Pete paused to eat a spoonful of his soup. Henry looked around and noticed that a young woman sitting near them had stopped eating her lunch and was watching them closely.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?